This past Monday evening, I got a phone call, and I don't. It was it was after my bedtime, and I silence my whatever do not disturb, and there's just a few select people who can get through to me, my kids, my mom, my brother, Nora, and it was just after 9, right? So that we've talked about my bedtime, my bed routine previously, and my phone started ringing, and it was from my 18-year-old, and I was kind of disoriented, like, is it morning? What's going on? Whatever. But I answered it, and she said, "There's a active shooter here at school." And I was like, "Oh, hey, okay." No, trying to grasp what's going on. And we talked for a little bit, and then trying to figure out what's going on, and there was very little information about it much at that point. And then she was in her dorm room, and hunkered down, lights off, kind of stuff. And I could hear things going on in the background, like what's going on with ads or street mates, and where's your roommate and what's going on. And then she found out about there was a link to kind of like police. I don't want to say scanner kind of thing. To kind of what's going on. And so she's, pulled up her laptop, and she has that going, and we're just kind of talking, and there's long periods of silence, and we're listening to what the police dispatcher is kind of coordinating efforts to figure out what's going on. And, as I hop on Twitter and refresh, and all this kind of stuff, and as we start to figure out where things are happening, confirmed things are happening relative to where she is, and it didn't take super long for me to determine for myself that physically she was safe, right? I mean, she's at Michigan State University. I went to Michigan State University. I had a relative idea, my poor memory of the layout of campus. And okay, so this is happening here, and you're here, and it doesn't seem like you're in imminent danger. I know it doesn't feel that way, but we're trying to talk about it, and it's a big campus and lots of kids, and things happen, and tensions are high, and all of a sudden there's like, hey, there's reports of shots fired a mile away on campus, or whatever it is, and like, okay, is that is it but still nothing in her area of campus. So, I saw, like, okay, this seems to be like physically you are safe. And, we were just talking, and again, like long periods of silence, like just 5 minutes of just hearing the scanner going in the background. And, she's very, with me anyway, she's very calm and thoughtful, I guess. I don't know what I want to say, logical about what's going on. And finally at one point she's like, okay, I'm just going to go in my street mate's room and hang out with them. And I was like, okay, you're good, you call me if you need me. And then, of course, then I can't sleep. because I'm invested in this story and I want to know what's going on. And so I stayed up most of the night, and then, Tuesday finally comes, and I was traveling for work Tuesday. So, my daughter and I had a big long conversation Tuesday morning as I was driving, and, I kept looking at, what's going on, trying to find details, and, just wanting to know what's going, is it really over? Right. And is those stories of, or reports of them finding the alleged gunman, and confronting him, and then he, self-inflicted gunshot wound and things like that. And there's always, like, in my mind, there's always like, well, how do we know it was really him? Like, there was, like, here's a picture of him leaving the Union building at Michigan State, on security camera, and it's like, it's not a really great picture, but I don't know what they're showing, putting out in media versus what the police have, right? How do I can't identify him. Like, you walk next to me and I don't know that I would identify him, right? But whatever. Getting off topic here. So, they canceled classes and everything for the rest of the week, and for people who follow other mass shootings here in the U.S. and maybe around the world, although it seems to be like it's a uniquely American problem. But anyway, so some of the things might not be, or is probably standard procedure, but I don't, being an American, again, like, these stories are just so ubiquitous that you can't really follow all of them, right? So I don't know what's what, but everything is more connected to me, right? And so, fortunately she was able to go to her sisters. Her sisters live up in Michigan. And she was able to go. She spent the rest of the week with them, and she's with them now. And I keep probing and offering to her, like, hey, if you want to talk, and spending, making extra effort to text her a little bit more, but there's like a balance that I'm trying to achieve, right? Which is not like, I don't want to smother her. I want her to know that I'm here, and whatever you need. If you need to fly home, we'll figure it out. If you need, like, if you want to go and talk to someone professionally and you're not sure how to do it, let me know. I will do all the legwork and foot all the bills and whatever. Like, I'm, and then a little bit more of, hey, it's a random Wednesday afternoon. I'm going to give her a call and we're going to talk for a little bit, and I'm going to give my fatherly advice and things like that for what it's worth. I've been thinking about this more and more, and so eventually, the identities of the three people who lost their lives so far, I guess, were reported, and then there's still 5 people who were critical in hospital, I think, still as of this morning. So who knows what still, what the coming days still holds, but there's those 3 students, and so I asked my daughter, like, do you know them? Right. I mean, there's 50,000 students on campus, so you obviously don't know everybody. And she said, well, the one person I knew, or had seen, like, in the dorm, like in the cafeteria or something. And I was like, okay, that's, that it's like another layer of, I don't know what I want to say, complication of something like for her, right? Like, okay, so, right. And so she's clearly affected by this. And, there's only, she's fortunate that she has a group of people in her lives that she can kind of talk to or comment to or whatever. Anyway, so there's that. And then, so I was in the shower talk, everybody. Well, I don't know what it was, Thursday, maybe. And like I said, I was traveling, so irresponsible JP, well, it's not my water bill, so I kind of hang out in the shower for a little while. And I started thinking about all of this and, more details of the alleged shooter and, about his story and a little bit. And I started thinking about him. And this might be where JP gets controversial on his podcast. And hopefully I balance this right. But this person, this man, 43-year-old man, some details come out from his dad, and here he's a guy who lived for a long while in Lansing, Michigan, and a few places before that, and it's really no details about his life growing up. But his mom died some number of years ago, and it seems like that was a big inflection point in his life that he never was able to deal with and grieve and recover from, I guess. And he just became really recluse and hung out. And he was living with his dad in Lansing after that, and didn't really do much. Stayed in his room a lot. It's unclear what his financial situation was. At least, I'm gonna say a lot of this is just there's going to be, this is kind of factual and general and a little bit of artistic liberty here in this whatever this is. There's a guy who was troubled and hurting, and what I don't know how I don't like, we don't know what his background, what his upbringing was, what he was exposed to, what he had available to him as far as education, mental wellness, intellectual wellness, right? I'm really going off the rails here already. I thought I could do this. So, like, we don't know. I mean, clearly to do such a thing, there is some kind of disconnect in logic and some kind of crossover with emotions, and we can't know about this specific individual at this point, right? He is deceased. He's no longer with us. We can't. There aren't. Like, it seems clear that he didn't seek any kind of medical help for any of his issues. So we don't have records, right? We don't have any kind of insight. We just know what we know from his dad, who's like, yeah, he was raised in a church and he knew right from wrong. This is a quote from his dad. And, but I just don't know what could have caused this, right? So I started thinking about this guy and me and my kids, the world in general, at large. And I think, like, what if, like, my assumption is, and it's a big assumption, is that this guy was not brought up. He clearly wasn't. Clearly, like, what? Let's assume. Let's propose that he was not raised, brought up, surrounded by, had access to, the ideas of talking about dealing with struggles that you have, that maybe it wasn't fostered in his life, that, hey, let's talk about what's going on. And if you don't want to talk to me, your dad, your mom, your brother, there are people that you can talk to. And let's say that he, like, was struggling with various things. Who knows? I mean, in addition to his mom having passed, like, and he didn't, like, realize, understand, appreciate the magnitude of things that can go wrong internally. When you're dealing with a lot of different things, right? Like, things can go really badly, right? I mean, in my situation, like, I didn't have, we talked about, I didn't have a terrible life, but I clearly had and have disconnects and logical failings and emotional failings that caused me to internalize what I was dealing with, and it led to different instances of suicidality, right? And in many situations, it turns to an outward showing of disconnect, right? And can lead to horrible things happening, where you are trying. It feels, maybe, I don't know, and maybe it feels right to express these feelings outwardly and do harm to others, right? For whatever reason. I don't know. I don't understand that. I won't pretend to understand that. But here's a person who did that, right? I mean, he wasn't, no affiliations with MSU by all accounts, and, wasn't like, it doesn't seem to be, it was like at a professor, or that he was, kicked out of MSU or something like that. But somewhere along the lines, like, this became internally to him the logical next step thing to do, right? And that's a huge breakdown. And so, I mean, back to this guy. Like I'm proposing that he had no outlets to work on these complications in his mind, in his life, and he felt like he had no. I mean, he obviously got to a point where he felt like he had no other option, right? I mean, is it based, to relate it to my own thinking back in 2014, 2015. Oh my gosh, 2015. Like, this was just the next step to do, right? It's whatever. It's Monday evening, and this is what I'm going to do. Well, I load up my guns, my backpack, and just this is what's happening, right? We probably will never know the steps that brought him to that, but he was. Don't we have to assume that he was hurting in some way? Right. I mean, I talked to my kids and in like the 80s and the 90s and probably before that too, but we were big on like good versus evil. Right. And, I mean, good and evil are not things, right? They're not forces. There's like people aren't evil, right? People can do evil things, right? But it's not like someone's born and like they're imbued with evil, right? They're not. they do evil things. So, you have to get to that point, right? And there's points along the way where you can argue, where there's choices that we make along the way. And choices is such in my mind, it's a loaded word, right? Because it's like you're sitting at the park on a bench and you say, you know what? I'm going to become a bad person. I don't believe that. That doesn't make sense, right? But over the course of a lifetime, no matter how long that lifetime is, like you're presented with life, right? And everybody does the best they can with the tools that they've been given. And because there are so many of us on the planet, there's so many different outcomes of that, right? So, like, I don't, like, this guy was not evil, right? He did something horrible and evil, but he himself was not that, right? So I guess what I'm getting at is there's not, like, it wasn't, like, irredeemable, right? Like unfixable isn't a good word, but yeah, I think maybe you understand what I'm saying. So we have this guy who was troubled, and again, this is assumptions by me to a certain extent, right? So I'm not stating facts here. I don't know everything, but we have this guy who was troubled, who maybe hadn't been raised, and by all accounts, like loved by his mom, his dad, and all that. But folks, there's like love doesn't fix, right? So I'll tell you where this started was when I was in the shower, was like how angry I was by like thoughts and prayers. Like Twitter is filled with it, and like the parents of MSU students Facebook group that I'm on, and Reddit, and all these places, like thoughts and prayers like thoughts and prayers don't do crap, right? Thoughts and prayers are for the person who's saying it. Okay, angry JP's coming out. But so like in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, so I'm thinking about like love. Like I love my girls, right? But that's not enough. Love doesn't prepare you for the world. Love doesn't build you as a person, right? Like I think love needs to have direction and I don't know what to say, but like like a way, like you need to act. Love needs to have action, right? And one of the ways that I've tried to love my girls is to educate them. And not like E equals MC squared, right? Like, yeah, I want them to know that too, but like that there's, like, I guess be life smart, right? And as complicated as all of that is, and I can't give them, I guess to give them tools to try to navigate what might come up, right? And not just always have an open front door for them, like, right? I mean, that's a kind of love, which is valuable, but just having an open front door in a room where they can just go to anytime they need is not necessarily going to prepare them and give them a good life. A good life. That's weird too, right? Like a capable life. And I'm proposing that this guy didn't have that, right? Like his dad loved him, but maybe his dad didn't know how to help, how to equip him, how to how to help with the things that were going on. And I don't want to disparage anybody because that's not my place, right? And who am I? But like thoughts and prayers weren't going to help this guy before the actions he took this past Monday, right? No more than they're going to help the victims and the families of the victims of the outcome of the things that this guy did, right? And that's like, so like this guy's pain, this guy's grievings, this guy's problems didn't go away with thoughts, prayers, and love. All they did was they got passed on to the families and friends and even just like bystanders of this shooting at Michigan State University, right? And like, I think it's incumbent upon us, you know, the families, the friends, the everybody, to like try to break that cycle. Like, still, like, thoughts and love are great to have, but they're not enough. They're not a solution. And I don't know. I don't know. Am I making sense, everybody? Like I mean, in some ways I get it. Like I'm angry I'm not angry at this guy. I'm angry at a world that allows for, it stands by while this guy can get into a situation where he does such a thing. Like he feels like this is the way to atone, to fix, to just have an outlet. And because of that world, and you know, we're like all things, like I think we're getting better, but like hurt my girl, and that makes me angry. And I want to fix that. Like I want to help fix that. Obviously, I can't fix that, right? I can't wave a magic wand. But I don't know what to do, and I'm trying to figure it out. Like I'm trying to see what I can do for myself, to better treat people, and then maybe go from there. But like I don't know. I mean, there's I don't know. I don't know why you're listening to this or why I'm saying all these things, but I mean, this show is about me and my my mental health and goings on inside JP's head. And these are the things that I've been thinking about. And I don't know what to do. As far as how to help, right? And this is and I'm focused on this tragedy at Michigan State, but like this is a bigger, broader thing, right? I mean, like I've donated to help the families and all that and whatever. So I mean, on a specific level, there's that. But like broader, like how do I help? And I don't know how to help. The greater good, right? I mean, that's what JP's social contracts are, right? It's like the betterment of the world on some small, minute amount. Like, I mean, I've talked with all my girls, right? Like everybody who is, you know, a part of, who might have emotions wrapped up in this, right? So I mean, I believe I've got like my family covered, but you know, it's that doesn't seem like enough. I mean, and on some level that like that's enough, right? Like if everybody had the ability to just take care of their own, then we'd get there, right? But I get it, like, and I'm not. I want to make sure that I'm not like casting parents as failures. When things like this transpire, because I mean, it's not. Nora and I were talking about something, and I used the word ignorant, and she's like, "No, you're not ignorant." I'm like, "Okay, slow down." Like ignorant is just like having not been educated on something. So being ignorant isn't in itself negative, right? So when I say that word here, like the parents are ignorant of how to equip their children with many things, right? And I mean, that's just something that we need to work on, right? It's not, you know, I don't, you know, there are some people, well, even then, people aren't willfully like inequipping, not equipping their children with tools they need, right? I mean, people. We're gonna go off the rails here. So anyway, basically, what it comes down to is JP was mad. JP was emotional this week about societal failings that just seem to keep getting cycled through from one person to the next. And I found myself, we'll wrap this up here, being emotional in different ways. Seeing different things. For those of you who don't know, like Michigan State and University of Michigan is like huge rivalry and blah, blah, blah. And all this, talk about like U of M doing something for people in the MSU community who were affected by this. And like that choked me up a little bit. And just different things, right? It was clear that I was emotionally tied to this situation. And, I don't know. It just seemed like that's what I wanted to talk about. So we'll wrap it up. I ran a half marathon yesterday, wore my Michigan State shirt. And got a few, lots of go greens. A dude in a U of M, decked out in U of M stuff, gave me a fist bump as I was running, and yeah. I don't know, folks. Yeah, there it is. Tragedy that personally and not full on, but personally affected my life, my world, I guess. And just wanted to share that with you guys, my thoughts, my musings on it, for what they're worth, right or wrong, who knows? Well, somebody knows probably, but not me. And I mean, there's, so anyway, I'm gonna go there. We're not gonna get into like the whole, like casting of people with mental illness as the wrongdoers of the world and stuff like that. And, if you have a mental illness, you must be, we got to keep an eye on you because who knows, where that might go. Like we need to take care of ourselves. And when I say, folks, keep working to take care of yourself, I don't mean that in that you're going to go the route that this guy did, right? That's not at all. But like every little bit helps, and try to find a way to improve, get some tools, more tools, and then share those tools. I don't know, folks. That's it. I feel like this was a weird show. Apparently it's very long. Hopefully the sound quality is okay. I appreciate you taking time to listen to me. Reach out. Let me know if you have any questions, any comments, if you're going to yell at me for wasting your time for 40 minutes on this, or if you have ideas for me, I would appreciate that. Okay, everybody, be safe and be well.